Okay, so I think that was an important part of the story because I was off drugs when I had my rock bottom. No one talks about that. I had a rock bottom type feeling when I decided to put everything down. But if you remember the story, I when I actually stopped, I was actually feeling empowered. I woke up from that dream. I was like, boom, boom, boom. The countdown was on. I got rid of everything. I grabbed a weapon. I attacked a person. Like, although the picture of my life and the circumstances of my life were low, I felt empowered in the moment that I set it down, flushed it, and I was done for good. I have almost never heard anybody talk about the rock bottom that happens in your recovery process, especially early on. Now, I underestimated that big time because I should have never. Although I know that this happened for a reason, and we'll get there. But there was a reason why I was so pushed to do things so unorthodox and in such a hurry and be so impatient, even though my parents and other people were like, wow, you're doing this already. But again, just going back to the rock bottom, definitely happened after I was already clean, 10 days or so. And it's important to share that with other people struggling because there's a spiritual factor to that, which I'm getting to. But right now, it's the recovery for an addict is not easy. And there was a lot of turmoil, like, just so much going on. I was just suffering. I was in so much suffering those 10 days. Although I was excited and I felt close to God and I felt like all these signs and synchronicities and I felt like I was getting messages. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I felt all awakened and enlightened and all of those great things were happening. But in the grand scheme of things, life still is happening. Life's still going on. I still had to get my teeth fixed. I still have all these kids. I still have a baby with no father. I still have all of my children with no father. I still have teenage children. 2 of them have type 1 diabetes. Like, there are so many factors that are difficult for a regular person even to manage. A regular family with a husband and a wife who have their head on straight to manage the things that I had on my plate. And then having my brain being so altered in such an altered state for so long. And then in that recovery and in that healing, and I'm talking the brain healing physically, the brain healing the way that it is, making connections and, neurotransmitting things, dopamine, you understand, all of those things. It was really off balance and I had no help again. And I don't mean that my family wasn't there for me. I'm saying I did not have recovery help. I did not have like clinical help. Yeah, dinosaur book. He won't sleep. He's always a party animal, as his mother and father always were. So I tried. I tried to get him to sleep, but I really want to get this message out because I find it very difficult. This is a side note, to find the time to do this. And it's frustrating me, to be honest, because if he's always awake and then I have other children and then I have other things to do and I have to pray and get centered to do a video and then I have to have some time after. And also, like, can I get a damn ever 5 minutes to myself? So difficult, as it were. Also, I have dentures on the top, which I'm getting to the teeth story, so you'll hear, but I'm not always wearing them because they suck. So I can't be on here telling stories with no teeth. So when I'm wearing them, I want to share my story. I just put them back in thinking he was asleep and he is not. So anyways, back to how I was feeling. So, and I just really want to paint the picture. Like, I felt so alone. So very sad and alone that night in the Airbnb after an 8-hour drive, all of the pain, popping fucking ibuprofen every couple hours. I was just like, get me to my damn appointment, please. Spitting out this disgusting infection, dealing with my children and their emotions too, which were fucking valid, and their anger and whatever toward their mother, like it was warranted beyond belief. I needed to hear all of those things, and they needed to hear me taking the accountability and apologizing to each and every one of them, and I meant it. But it was a rough fucking 8 hours. I got out of the shower and I never, ever cried so hard. I actually, thinking about it now, makes me emotional because I felt so sorry, I'm trying not to. I feel so bad for her. That version of me, I feel so bad. It is heartbreaking to think of how that version of me was feeling at that time, and I was there. I was there. But when I think about her as a separate, version of myself, I didn't think I was gonna cry in this video, by the way, but recalling how much pain and anguish, agony, infection, guilt, sorrow, shame, fear, loneliness, grief, heartbreak. Oh my God. I feel so bad for her. And she has come very far. But anybody that I would have seen crying that way and falling apart that way, even in a movie or a show, I would have just absolutely... Hi. I would have bawled my head off in sympathy. So when I think about that night and that trip, it makes me feel so bad for that loneliness and the roller coaster I was on, because, leaving on the road trip, I was feeling so hopeful. And I think I just hit a wall. I hit a wall because the things that were upsetting me were physical. Like, I couldn't ignore the infection. I couldn't ignore the pain. I couldn't ignore these conversations and these feelings with my kids. I couldn't ignore the pain in my back and the frustration in traffic, and the fear that borrowing money and then having to pay it back. And that's in the back of my head. I mean, I'm telling you, I felt like the weight of 1,000 worlds on top of me. And I was thinking how much my husband took so much of that and carried half of it or more. He would have never let me drive. He would have never let me suffer that long. He would have never, ever let it get that far. And that's, it makes me think about that all the time. Like, I've gone through so incredibly much that my husband would have protected me from if he was here, if he could have. And doing it on my own, it was so... And anybody, though, like, I want to go back to, not just because he wasn't there and, like, oh, you have to do it on your own now. Any human being doing what I had to do to come out of this, to fight through this, to get on the other side, to get clean, to get away from that lifestyle and to get away from that person and the loops and the cycles that I kept repeating over and over. It was a fucking war. It was an absolute war. It was so grueling. And I just thank God that I'm here now. But I just wanted to share that rock bottom, it'll sneak up on you. even after you're clean.